Today I want to talk about a practical, biblical approach to dating and courtship. First, it would be important to acknowledge that neither courtship or dating are biblical terms. You won't find them in the Bible. However, the Bible does have much to say about relationships. It does not lay out specifics regarding dating or courtship, but like I said, it does have a lot to say in what is important for marital relationships, and of course, either dating or courtship could lead to marriage depending on what happens during that process. And so for our discussion of the subject of dating and courtship, I want to look at what I would consider a biblical Christian approach, and how love and romance and sacrifice and covenant, now a lot of people aren't going to think of those words, but again, those are biblical Christian terms, and how they relate to the Christian who desires God's best in relationships. So already we're starting to kind of differentiate between a lot of the thoughts that people have today on this subject. So unless you're a Christian, and unless you are willing to allow Christ to be your life, then this discussion is not for you, so you can really tune out and go on to something else. However, if you are a Christian and you do desire God's best in one of the most important decisions that you will ever make, then you need to stay tuned. So let's begin with two questions. First, what is a Christian's responsibility when it comes to dating and courtship? And secondly, is there a difference between dating and courtship? Now, I'm going to settle the second question just from a personal opinion, and I'm going to say yes, that there is a difference between dating and courtship, and I'm going to give you my reasons now. The main difference between dating and courtship involves the goals to be reached by spending time together. Here's where we can see very different agendas. Okay? So, to start with, the purpose of the relationship differs greatly, in that dating tries to answer the question, here's the basic question, how can I find the one who will make me happy, or who can I have a good time with? While courtship endeavors to answer the question, how can I honor God and discern His direction regarding my life partner? So you can see from the offset, these are two totally different agendas. In dating, the dating couple is often looking for personal pleasure, or simply, how can we have a fun time together? At the heart of that tends to be self-gratification, which is normally the basis of a dating relationship. And these selfish goals, although they may be hidden or subconscious, may lead to unexpected, deep, romantic attachment. How many people say, oh, we're just kind of casually dating, it was nothing serious, and the next thing you knew, we fell in love. We didn't intend to. You see, often that can happen without either partner knowing much, if anything, about each other, rather than the relationship being based on a shared commonality of relationship, first with who? With Christ, and then with each other. Again, we're talking about a Christian perspective. Now, I know a lot of even Christian young people don't want to hear what I'm having to say. Again, I said, if you're not open and committed to God's best in your life, then obviously my words are going to fall on deaf ears. So often in the dating relationship, there is little, if any, accountability for the couple and little or no interaction with family members. Now I've talked to enough young people to know, well, I don't want them anywhere near my family. My family's crazy. What do you want them not to be interested in me? So I get it. But again, without proper accountability, you just open yourself up to so many more possible temptations. You see, the dating couple is merely attracted to one another in some way and often pursues an exclusive relationship that's independent of others and others' influence or control. Think about it. Now, as much as they say, oh, we're not serious, they start getting in this dating relationship, then they want this commitment out of each other that you're exclusive to me. And you're exclusive to me, but don't let anybody else speak into this relationship. So they're trying to control it already, and they don't even realize it. Now, since the boundaries of the relationship are self-determined, the two, or one of the two, is determining how that relationship's going to go, the couple may easily succumb to temptation and fail to consider their responsibility to honor the other in purity and genuine love. Again, they're not planning on any hiccups, but they can easily occur. This self-focus often leads to an attitude of lust. What basically is lust? It's basically getting what I want, rather than a selfless attitude of love, what's the essence of love? Giving unselfishly to others. So it's again a completely different premise. So men and women who choose to date often have no commitment to consider marrying. That's not why we're going out. That's not why we're hanging out. We're hanging out just to get to know each other and to have fun. We're not talking about marriage. No, I don't want to get married. You see, maturity and readiness for marriage are not even considerations in the decision to date. That's a recipe for disaster. Because the more you get to know someone, the more likely is that you're going to become romantically involved. I mean, that's like playing with fire. So in contrast, a biblical courtship is based on, number one, what is Christ doing in a person's life, and potentially choosing a life partner. And that's the whole basis for the courtship. To determine, is this what God has for me, and is this potentially a life partner that I want to marry and spend the rest of my life with? Secondly, courtship has to do with what God knows about your partner. What do you know about them? Nothing. Nothing. And thirdly, what is His plan for not only your future, but their future? You might discover those plans are different for each of you. And they might not have you inclusively together in those plans. And so courtship is a relationship between a man and a woman in which they seek to determine if it is God's will for them to marry each other. Got a completely different starting point here, isn't it, than dating. Courtship is a prelude to marriage, and therefore should be Christ-focused, not couple-focused. See, that's where a lot of the couples that are dating, they don't want to hear anything about this, because it's all about them, and it's all about who they're wanting to date. It's all about the two of them. It's not about God. And so a couple with a godly intent willingly chooses to be under the protection guidance and blessing. Now, I know a lot of these couples are going to scream right now. Under the guidance and protection and blessing of parents and mentors. They seek the accountability of their parents and other godly mentors to help establish guidelines for their relationship and allow others to speak into their lives. Hey, if you're not going to let somebody speak into your life later, well, after you find yourself getting married, you're going to be sitting in a counselor's office like mine. And you're going to be trying to work through your issues. In this broader family environment that I know so many young couples are afraid of because of the toxic, and there are toxic environments. They are. I'm not going to deny that. But it's within that broader framework that you can more easily recognize what God's trying to reveal. And it also facilitates a greater responsibility to honor one another. I mean, if you're with, people and groups, and you're not just alone all the time, there's a greater responsibility. Now, receiving God's grace and the support of others to strengthen you in the relationship, to maintain your commitment to purity, is vitally important. It's in this way the couple concentrates on developing a deep friendship that can lead to marriage. It is during the courtship that they discern their readiness for marriage and God's timing for their marriage. So we might discover, okay, we really truly believe that God wants us to marry, but we're not ready for it. It's not God's timing. We've got some things to prepare for, and so we can't forge ahead with this right now. Courtship is a choice to avoid temptation and experience the blessings of purity. It is a choice to wait for God's best in His timing for His glory. It is a decision to walk by faith. Now you can see, I counsel a lot of people. I could see why young people aren't interested in anything I'm saying. Because they haven't learned how to walk by faith. They don't know how to have a relationship with God. They're looking to get their needs fulfilled outside of their relationship with God. And dating is one way that they try to fulfill that. And then things happen, and then they regret the decisions that they make, and they don't understand how they got there. And so, courtship's a decision to walk by faith, to trust in God, to honor others above yourself, and to believe that God will satisfy the desire of your heart. You see, when young people forge ahead and try to get what they want without waiting on the Lord, that's when tragic mistakes occur. So what should a Christian's focus be during the courtship process? Well, to discern whether your partner is spiritually regenerated. Whether or not they're really a Christian. Just because somebody says they're a Christian, that's kind of like a dime a dozen. I've met all kinds of so-called Christians that come for counseling and only to find out they really aren't Christians. They grew up in a Christian family, or they've been in a church for many years, and they've been religionized, and they followed rituals, but they have no understanding of a personal encounter and a spiritual exchange with Jesus Christ. And so the courtship time is a time to observe the values and the attitudes of your potential mate. Do you share the same interests? Do you share the mind of Christ? Do they know the mind of Christ? Are they exhibiting the mind of Christ? Is there a common desire to allow Christ to renew the mind? Like, we're all in process. It's not like we've arrived. Do you detect anger, fear, jealousy, pride, etc.? You see, any and all of these unmet needs should be addressed prior to marriage, or they will, of course, be faced during marriage. Because whatever baggage you have, whatever baggage they have, you're bringing your baggage together. And it's much more difficult to work on it after you've said, I do. And so, are there common objectives and priorities? The answer is yes. Discuss short range and long range goals. Discuss career choices and dreams. Is there a mutual decision to follow God's leading together, regardless of what that might mean? Learn how to communicate and learn how to communicate. The first thing that every couple wants to know, when they come for counseling, we have communication issues. Now, I get they have communication issues. They have much deeper issues than communication. But they haven't learned how to communicate. And so that's vitally important, to learn how to talk, how to ask questions, how to think, how to engage each other. And premarital sexual relationships are contrary to God's intent and should be a treasured asset once you are married. Don't give yourself away prematurely. Allow that to be God's intended jewel for your marital relationship. One of the greatest values of courtship is learning to love. Now everybody says, oh yeah, we're in love. Well, not sure you understand what love is. So we're going to talk a moment about what it means to learn to love. And we're going to begin by saying what it's not, because I think this is what a lot of dating couples experience. Love is not something you fall into. Oh, we fell in love. No, you didn't. It is not sentimentalism. It's not puppy love or boy crazy or girl crazy. It's not selfish or interested in getting my needs met, to satisfy my own desires. It is not improper fulfillment. Need for love, acceptance, relating, bonding, belonging, to be valued, affirmed, excitement, identity can only be realized as God is the one that works that out in a couple's life in an appropriate setting. You're not going to be able to do that through improper fulfillment. Now, love is, on the other hand, respectful. Respectful of the other person's values, their standards, their opinions. You don't force yourself on them or force your beliefs on them. Love is unselfish and unconditional. A decision to relate to the other person at every level, both spiritually, psychologically, and physically. You see, love is giving of oneself to another without any selfish desire in return. Love is responsible to seek the highest good of another person for better or for worse. Believe me, once you get married, you're going to discover what that is, or at least you're going to have plenty of opportunity to discover what it is. Whether or not you actually choose to participate with the Lord in that is another question. Love is God in action through you toward another person. Did you get that? Love is God in action through you toward another person. And since one of the most important decisions that we will make is the decision of marriage, we should rely exclusively on the outlived life of Jesus Christ before and if and when we decide to tie the knot. Jesus gave this instruction in Matthew 19. Have you not heard that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female. And he said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, so they are no longer two, but one flesh. What God therefore has joined together, let no man separate. When a couple's focus is Christ and experiencing his life, then all of their decisions will reflect God's character and his will for their life, including their marriage partner, prepared by God just for you. I hope you'll choose to participate with him in that all-important decision.
We hope you enjoyed today's video on Life as God Intended. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that button below so you get a notification every time we upload one of our weekly videos. Be sure to hop over to our blog where you can read articles and notes on today's message and sign up for our emails there. We'll see you back here in a few days, and until then, enjoy life as God intended.